So Kevin, good morning. As CEO of Siemens Mobility, I welcome you to interview with the editor and to talk to me about this particular project. Can you tell me how it came about?
It's stemming from a demand in the rail industry and in South Africa, and our customer Prasa decided to embark on this program to improve the rail network, to improve the rail services to commuters. That's where it really starts. And with that, the government embarked on this program to assign money for upgrade of rail networks, and part of it is upgrade and purchase of new rolling stock, which is taking place. And the project we are involved in is the upgrade of the infrastructure, to make the infrastructure safe and reliable. And when I'm talking about the infrastructure, I mean the track elements, I mean the control of trains, the speed, the throughput of trains, the safety of trains, getting the whole trains and driver network to work together safe and reliably.
This is particularly important, especially at a time when Prasa is under pressure to deliver that kind of safe and reliable service.
I think it's extremely important. I've also had discussions with Prasa. Definitely safety is their number one priority. I think this is a message that's driven down from the chairman of Prasa all the way to the operational teams. But we must understand that we're fixing a history here, which will take time. And the consoling point is that this project is already started. So we have already started with the scope to upgrade this network. We built the Gauteng Nerve Center, the GNC as we call it already. We have upgraded 38 to 40 stations now already. And like you mentioned, we're sitting at this coffee because we upgraded now 2 of the busiest and the biggest stations in our network in South Africa. And actually that would mean in the African network. And those stations are Joburg Park Station and Bloemfontein. And at the same time, we are anticipating to finish Pretoria, which brings another dynamic of the northern part of Gauteng and a bigger station also into this network, and that should be finished, I would say, in the first week of February. So that will make it 3 stations from our side.
Fantastic.
And it's coming at the right time for the client. I think that's the point, and that's where we are. As Siemens Mobility, we're also trying to work together with the client and to make real what we have put on the ground, to make that technology and that service work with the safety and the reliability of commuters.
Peter, you are the head of execution. What is the scope of this kind of project?
When Prasa started this project, the biggest problem they had was to consolidate all the interlockings they've got from one control center. So in phase 1, we had to construct a Gauteng Nerve Center, which is built in Kaalfontein, and this is where Prasa would operate the whole network from. Additionally to that, we had to re-signal all their stations. As Kevin mentioned, it's a legacy signaling system they've got currently that's very old, and we had to upgrade all these stations to the newest technology to make sure that Prasa can operate these trains safely. So Siemens have also received an order from Prasa to eliminate the human factor that is currently in operating trains, and that is a ETCS level 2 order that was received on specific stations. Prasa is operating in Pretoria station, and we're expecting to get that also delivered to Prasa in the next year or so. So currently we're executing, like I mentioned, the 92 stations, of which to date we've executed 40 of these stations. We just yesterday commissioned another 2 Boysons and Faraday stations, which is key to Prasa's operations around the Joburg area. As Kevin mentioned, between December and January, we've now commissioned some of the biggest stations that Prasa have got, Johannesburg and Bloemfontein. We've commissioned partial of Pretoria, we've commissioned Boysons and Faraday, which equals actually 5 stations in 2 months' time. So in terms of the complexity that the project is bringing, station's complexity is very much dependent on the amount of points in that station. So to give you an idea, between December and January we've commissioned close to 250 point sets, which to me is a massive achievement for Siemens and ensuring that Prasa is able to operate these trains safely.
The current status of the project, where are you at right now?
On the 92 stations that we have to deliver, we've to date commissioned 40 of these stations, which in terms of the complexity of executing a project in the Gauteng region is a massive achievement. In Gauteng you have the issues of communities that we're entering into. The railway lines, of course, go through these communities, and we have to consider them as well in our execution. And it so happens also that we have a lot of theft and vandalism on all the stations that we go into. I'm thinking areas like Davidton, Boysons, areas that is really difficult to do work in because there are elements there that don't necessarily appreciate the new system that we're installing.
The logistics of coordinating and getting everything onto site must be quite something.
Yes, that is correct. To execute this massive project that incorporates a lot of signalling works, civil design works, perway works, but also a lot of fibre. A signalling network is very much dependent on the communication backbone. And currently that is probably one of our biggest challenges, to ensure that PRASA is able to deliver on the fibre network that is delivered from their side. We are executing this project from our facility in North Riding, where we manufacture most of our interlocking cabinets. In this facility we also have an integrated test facility that is able to test these interlockings, and where we perform our FAT. From that facility these cabinets are delivered to our sites, where ultimately they go in and are commissioned as part of the station. To execute this project and the scale, we've got 3 areas that we most of the time execute in, and between these 3 areas we try to deliver 2 stations per month. Of course, in achieving that goal there's always challenges, like PRASA operations. Ultimately they need to look after the commuter and ensure the impact of the commuter is as little as possible. We've had some challenges with that towards the end of last year, where we were supposed to take occupation for Johannesburg station in September already. Due to PRASA's challenges to ensuring minimum impact to the end customer, that occupation was only granted to us in December, but we've ultimately managed to do that commissioning of the station.
In your commissioning with the station and the project that you're working on, did you have to engage with the railway safety regulator?
So Siemens don't engage directly with the railway safety regulator. Our contract is with PRASA, and our contractual obligation is to deliver a SIL4 system, which is the highest level of safety that you can deliver on a system. And in order for us to deliver on this, we have to prove to PRASA and to the engineer that we are able to meet these requirements. So our system is approved by PRASA, who ultimately then would get this approval from the RSR. At the moment, our interlocking is approved by PRASA and, of course, back to the RSR.
So Mohit, as a person who's behind the scenes putting this whole project together, what does it take to execute or to combine it so that it is safe and reliable, that that's what you're delivering?
Siemens does believe that the role of engineers is not just to work with machines and designs, etc. What Siemens proudly believes is the guys have to use their own sciences in terms of giving innovation in inventions to gel together, bring together, and deliver it for a safer system or for the people. So that's what Siemens strives for. So in terms of that, what we are building up is a system which is SIL4 integrity level approved, and to bring that together, we have got several procedures and documents intact, where each and every level requires guys to perform their tasks in stipulated time, but keeping the system absolutely safe without any compromise towards that. So we have got different levels of safety at different areas of work. Like if we talk about design, we have got several layers of verification, checking. If we talk about Joburg or things like that, we are working, we took over the project as a legacy project where we had to give a new advanced system there. So we had to try and modify what their working environment was. So at certain places we have to improvise on those things. So the role we started with looking at the existing layouts, how they were supposed to work, and give necessary modifications and suggestions towards them. If we go towards development of the project, development of the softwares, we work towards giving a more rigid, a more flexible system for them. Of course, not compromising with the safety. Looking forward and giving them a more what we say faster system to work on. Remember, everyone strives that they must have a safer system towards working. So and even when the general public tries to walk there, or they expect that they reach their locations or destinations much faster in a safer way. So looking into that, we definitely give all those conditions intact. We don't compromise on whether if they want more flexibility. We don't compromise to give them, let's say, if they want flexibility, we don't compromise with the safety. But yeah, we do take care of those things. We liaise with the customer to say, okay, now this is your thing where which we think can be implemented in a better way, in which in terms we can say we engage with them every now and then and speak to them, get more insights from them, and give them a better solution towards their working. So yes, if we talk about safety, we are one of the place where Siemens can say they are much more reliable in terms of system. They have given a very reliable system, because we haven't seen any scenarios where they say it's not better than the previous one. So yes, I could say it's much better.
In walking through this project, what have been, in your opinion and your experience, some of the complexities and challenges?
In terms of this particular project, if you talk about Joburg, yes, they were quite scenarios which were very new for us. And the biggest thing was the requirements that kept on coming again and again, and we tried to improvise on them, were one of the biggest challenges implementing this thing. We have to adapt to them proactively, not just say, okay, we are going to look into it. It doesn't really work. So we were proactively looking into it and tried to give them what they really wanted. Yeah. So those were one of the biggest challenges. Other challenges, what we would say, is working on such a bigger station, on such a big scale right now, which we have implemented for the first time, was one of the biggest challenges for us. Bringing all the teams together, bringing all different, I would say, different sort of people together was one of the things. And I think everyone gelled together there.
So Senzo, you are the Senior Test and Commissioning Engineer. How long have you been with Siemens?
Started with Siemens in April 2015.
April 2015.
Yes.
And like your main day-to-day role?
My day-to-day role is on site. We test everything that has been installed and bring it to life. And so what happens is you get installation teams who come and install every equipment outside. And then there's about 800-page book that you need to verify to make sure that what has been installed outside is meeting all the safety requirements, because the main priorities of this project is to deliver a safety and safety system for our clients. So my role on site is to make sure that I bring the system to life under live conditions where trains are going, on both directions mostly where we are working, and I need to make sure that I deliver that safely. So my day-to-day responsibilities would be making sure that we work safe in trying to commission and hand over the system that we can confidently say that it meets the requirements for safety.
So you're actually physically on site?
Yes, on daily basis I'm on site with my team, and the very tricky part of my job is that every work that we are doing is live. To give a perspective of Johannesburg and Braamfontein, at first when we took the occupation in Johannesburg, we closed certain lines where we had the freedom of working when there were no trains. But we had to, as a requirement and a request from PRASA, to hand over partly of the system so that they can try and be convenient to the clients and the commuters because it was a bit challenging for them when there were no trains running, and we know Johannesburg is the biggest station in Africa. So having that line closed, it was a bit challenging for PRASA. So we had to hand back the system, part of the system for Joburg. Then the complexity now starts when we have to work, when there are commuters who are moving up and down between the lines, and there's trains that are also moving in those lines where we are working on. So concentration level should be very high when you're working on site. And it's also very important that we get competent people to work outside, because for me, as being a test and commissioning engineer, I sit in a cabin where I send controls outside, and it's very important that people that I work with who are outside, they are very reliable and they know what they are doing. And the other most important aspects that comes with my job is to make sure that I maintain great and constant communication with the train controllers on the other side, because part of our testing we not do it where the TCOs are sitting. TCOs are being train controllers. So constant communication with them is very vital, because you do not want to swing the points or change the aspects on the signal, which a normal person would see it as a robot, because those are now monitors that the train drivers look at. So I will not be allowed to do something that is not in line with the train controller up to outside. So that level of communication is vital in my daily activities.
How many people did you have to coordinate on site?
In the job like this, it's not only the people who are within your team that you need to maintain communication with. So you get people like security guards who have no knowledge of how train the movement happens, and who do not also know that trains are moving on both directions. And then you get commuters also who are now and then just walking in between the lines, who have also no clue of what is going on outside. Then you get train controllers. So it's a whole lot of people that you need to try and sort of manage and make sure that communication level and concentration levels with them is of utmost importance on everyone. So I wouldn't give a specific number of who I control, but as an overall, there's different kind of people that I need to make sure that they are safely outside, and I'm also delivering the safe system to our clients.
Coordinating with PRASA whilst you're on site, is that challenging?
It's challenging, but it's interesting. With a project of this nature, especially with the GNC that we implemented in Galfontein, you will find that across the network there will be that resistance to our clients' employees. So I come in there when we arrange for times where I need to get space to work, to try and alleviate that fear to them and say, look, this is coming to help you, this is coming to make your life easier. And having that buy-in from them, it makes our work easier, because we have that level of confidence and trust among each other that if they give me space to work on the live system, they do not expect any fault or any shortfall from my side. So in terms of coordinating, I think we have mastered that part with our clients, and we constantly maintain good communication with them. And in the mornings we plan. I go to the train controllers, look at the train volumes, the schedules, then I plan my work as to where the trains will be less, and ask for times where I cannot do when trains are going past, because there's work that we cannot do when the train is moving. So having that communication and coordination with them, it works better for us, and I think we've managed that one very well. And one of the achievements was for Braamfontein, like Peter mentioned, that we were supposed to take an occupation in September for Johannesburg, but unfortunately we got it in December. So that meant that we cannot go for December holidays without having back Braamfontein. So, and their condition was that we cannot do Braamfontein before we finish Johannesburg station, because then it will collapse the whole system. They wouldn't get any trains coming to Johannesburg. So we achieved Braamfontein in 2 weeks' time, which was a great achievement for Siemens to deliver such a station safely. And up to now we haven't had any incidences or failures that the guys are experiencing on site. So we pride ourselves that we achieved that 2 week on the biggest station, which is Braamfontein, safely, and that is through communication and making sure that we maintain constant communication with our clients and meeting their demands.
Talk to me about what are the technical aspects of commissioning through to handover?
This system cuts a lot of physical units and elements that you would traditionally find on the old interlocking. You would get a very big room size with a lot of units, and the system that we are installing is only 4 racks, and you'll be surprised to find that it performs the very same function that the previous interlocking had. So the tricky part is that when we start testing, we are testing under the old interlocking that is still working, because part of it is that we cannot kill the old interlocking, and then we work for a time where we get to a point where we install the new one. So we need experienced people to make sure that you understand the previous interlocking against the new one that we are doing. So that is part of the challenge, but fortunately enough, I've worked for signaling for some time, and I'm fortunate to understand the old interlocking system, and it's easier then to integrate the new one, the old one, and phasing out seamlessly without commuters or TCOs realizing a change in how they do their work. The session managers from PRASA, they are really now seeing the benefits of this system. Everywhere where we are going, we are no longer getting resistance of this system. So that is also part of the things that we can pride ourselves as Siemens, that we have met, I think, also beyond our clients' expectations as far as this system is concerned, because everywhere where you introduce a new system, you will find that resistance and fear of the unknown. But I think we have managed that very well. And
So Kevin, this truly is an immense project for Siemens Mobility here in South Africa. What have been the key success points for you?
I think I would like to answer that question by thinking of it from different facets of the business. Firstly, from a Siemens perspective, internally or with our organization, we had to get the right people involved. Like you have interviewed my colleagues who actually do the hard work. They make everything happen, they have the right level of expertise, they are focused in the field, they engage well with the customer, and they put everything on the ground in the safe and reliable way. We have a lot of processes that we follow, we have a lot of policies that we implement to make sure that we keep to the Siemens guidelines in something like that. One of that, as a practical example, is the EHS policy, Environment Health Safety Policy. So while our people are working along these tracks, while they are working under these conditions, we have to make sure they work in a safe manner every day, according to our guidelines. So they cannot climb on heights without the right equipment. They need to know what to do when a train is approaching. We have flagmen who warn the people. We move safely away from the track, a safe distance. So we adhere to all of this. Every morning we test our people for alcohol on sites. It's our responsibility to make sure our people work in a safe manner on our sites. So that is one of the things I think as Siemens we are guided by very good policies and procedures to do that, and we implement it. And I must say, it's world class. This is not, it's adapted for our local environment, but we are monitored and we are audited on a regular basis by our international group to make sure we stick to world-class standards. Also, like Mohit has mentioned and Senzo has mentioned, when we are testing and building the system, we make sure the system adheres to these standards. And if for some reason there are bigger issues, the Siemens headquarters will step in and help us. So this is where we have managed to build a center of competence in South Africa, which will also put us in a great position to deliver this same thing to other parts of Africa, which the investment has already been done to test it to the right level of safety. So I think for me, we have an excellent platform. We will use South African citizens to do it. We employ more than 160 people on this project only. On site, there's probably another 120 people that are working on a continuous basis. All right, so we have built a lot of this expert skills here, and I'm not talking, just configuration of equipment. I'm talking real engineering, real system engineering, real commissioning, like these guys have spoken about. And that skill will be run by South Africans. So from a Siemens perspective, that's what it would mean to Siemens. If I take a step back and I look at the Gauteng province, for example, in South Africa, what does it mean for all of us here? Definitely we need to improve our rail system. What we need is technology that is world class. We need technology that is safe, reliable, and sustainable. Typically in a rail system, the technology needs to last more than 20 years. And that's a commitment that we have given you. So we have a team that makes sure this happens all the time. In Gauteng, we are employing, if you add up the figures, you will come out to 260, 280 people. We work a lot with the communities. So, we don't have a contractual obligation, but we try to make it our social obligation, where we can engage with the communities, we define the process, we're utilizing community members to do the work. It works very well in some places. But I must also point out, in some places, we get the impression that people want to purposely block the process of work. And the sad part is you see a lot of people willing to work and they are blocked by certain specific elements. So this is where the project gets delayed and we have other challenges in there. But we have processes together with our client that we work to implement. The other part to keep the system going, and once we have a great rail system, it's amazing what else will happen in the economy. People will be able to travel through stations safely. We'll be in a coordinated way. You will get to your destination. PRASA will have the ability to relook at their fares and help the communities and help people to transport along. But for that, we need to stop things like vandalism and theft. It's a massive issue, and frankly, I think the stance needs to be greater against it. I think we need to have prosecution against it, because the state, the government, and all of us lose millions of rands on a daily basis for this. And that needs a much stronger stance from it. Personally, I would like to see that, because we don't have a problem to roll out and to do the system faster, to manufacture faster. We don't have a problem. We're happy with our processes. The issue here is we get hampered by theft and vandalism mainly. And that for me is a big priority. And I think also local content on this project, we have maximized that. Also in our local facility in North Riding, where we do a lot of the manufacture and assembly, we employ a mixture of people from an age diversity. We also focus very much on gender. We have a lot of women working for us, people who come through training schemes. The productivity level is great, the motivation is great with people. And that's what gives me a lot of hope personally, because I think our people in our country want to do this. We want to do this as a business, but we need that platform set for it to be done. And we will continue to focus on our localization. We're delivering more than 60% of it at the moment, and that's our strategy to do that. And we have a support from our headquarters in Germany. And I'm glad to say that Siemens has taken a stance where this business will grow, and it's up to us to make it successful.
So, Kevin, what are your activities in South Africa and Africa going forward?
Yeah, I think we have an excellent base with this project, from a technology, from a people development, from a facilities process perspective. In South Africa, I still see a lot more opportunities where we are investing in and we are trying to work with customers. Still with PRASA, I think for PRASA the next level is to implement a in-cab signaling system or a communication-based system that will support the interlocking base and remove some of the possible human errors that can occur. And something like ETCS is a good example of that, European Train Control System. And there will still be a lot of other upgrades and work to be done in the network. With Transnet, I think there's also a lot of work, and I think generally commodity prices have been low. That will pick up, and Transnet needs to be ready for it. They're also an extremely strong organization, very good foundation in the organization, very good people in the organization. And we look forward to working together with them also. We have implemented our system with Transnet also. We're on the approved list. And again there, it's the same topics of localization, community, full support, development, work together with the customer. We are totally prepared to do that with Transnet. And if we look past South Africa into Africa, I mean, the ultimate strategy for us is to have South Africans deliver a project in Africa. That way the government benefits, we benefit, our people benefit. That's what we want to do. We are bidding for a few projects at the moment. It's a different environment. The good news is you have the expertise, you have the rules, you have the regulations. And this is what we are proposing and implementing. We are currently running projects in Mozambique, in Malawi, in Namibia, in Zambia, and we want to extend that, obviously. And the one other critical success criteria that I'd like to mention is to summarize what the colleagues said here. It is to take ownership and to work as a team and with teams. And there I'd like to also commend the customer for that. The region, the Gauteng region, several colleagues that have been involved, they have a tough job to make sure services are running, to work with legacy equipment, to work under the pressure of accidents that have happened. They really stepped up to the plate with us. They're really cooperating well with us, and we are working together now towards the end goal. So they have become much more accommodating also, and we are also trying to understand them better. So I think sometimes they have requirements that we need to adjust and adapt to. And that's where I think, for me, if it continues like this project could end up being one of the most successful infrastructure projects implemented in the province, maybe in the country.